Okay, well, Gareth, you sat here as the latest inductee into the Hull City Hall of Fame. We'll take a look at why the fans might have voted for you in a bit, but just firstly, your reaction to being part of club history.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was great news. We actually were, I know it was quite a sort of a weak process, as in it went on for a few days and what have you with the first round and then the top three and so on and so forth. But yeah, we happened to be out on New Year's Eve when we got the news. So there's about 6 or 7 of us out. So it turned out to be a pretty good night. Yeah, and really pleased. Local lad. Been at the club since I was 16. Played that many games and everything. It was fantastic. And I'm so proud of being able to get in alongside some of the names that are already in there as well. So yeah, really proud to be part of the Hall of Fame.
It's a fine achievement, possibly overdue, but how does it feel to be with the likes of Andy Davidson and Chris Chilton?
Yeah, well, a lot of those guys, and Jock Davidson and Chiller were both there when I first started. So I signed as an apprentice when I was 16. My first apprentice manager was Ken Houghton. I signed under, I think it was Bobby Collins actually was the first one, and then Howie was my apprentice manager. So you can imagine, like I'd been watching the club since I was 7 or 8 at Bulfrey, and to then walk into that sort of situation where I played local football, school football, and then gone into the city sort of fourth, the minors and what have you, then to get an apprenticeship and to be coached by Ken Houghton, who then went on to be my manager, first team manager, and who took Howie's place but Chillo. I mean, Ken Houghton and Chris Chilton, you can't get much better than those two. I loved watching both of them play, and then to be coached by them, it was a dream come true.
Can you imagine when you came on as a substitute for Alan Warboys in 1979 that you'd go on to play nearly 500 games? Yeah,
1979. Never forget it. I still get a bit of a sweat on even thinking about those few minutes, because it was early on in the game. Alan Warboys, I think Bruce Bannister was playing, obviously smash and grab as they were known back in the day, and it was such a shame that I came on, and I think it was Alan Warboys' last game, because his injury that occurred in that game against Bury was pretty bad. So I'm not sure if he played after that, but he struggled after that, and I came on, and it was early on in the game. And it was all and that was in the days of just one substitution. So I was it. So as soon as somebody goes down, you know you're on.
We've mentioned your debut. It took a while for you to establish yourself in the first team. You ended up playing defence, midfield, attack before settling into the midfield role.
Yeah, not as much as it got at the end of my time at City, but yeah, that first season, to be honest, when you're a young kid, you don't get that opportunity if you're top of the league. You get the opportunity if the team's not doing well. So hence the reason why I was put in. We were in the old 3rd division then, sort of mid to lower end of the table. So and Ken Houghton wanted to mix things up a bit, because I think the squad had got a bit stale at that time. There's quite a few players that were just happy to be there and not, I didn't think, really giving as much as they could have done. So it was a case of him shuffling the pack, and he put me in and Pete Skip at more or less the same time, and then Brian Marwood came half a season later. So yeah, it was good timing. You were just lucky at that time. I was a good player. I was decent. Tried hard and did my best and everything like that, and I could play a bit, but you need a bit of luck as well. And thank goodness Ken gave me that opportunity, especially with my debut. So, and then once we got on a bit of a run at the end of that year. So we ended up something like 8th or 9th in the league, and I managed to score 2 or 3 goals in that season as well. So from March until beginning of May. So yeah, it was scary when you look back, because in a way you're not thinking about. It doesn't sound too great, but you're not thinking about the team, you're thinking about how you play. I've got to do my best to keep my shirt, because if I don't, I'm not in the team, and it's about I was getting 30 quid a week as an apprentice, and I wasn't getting much more when I signed pro. So it was those days of money counted, and there was a bonus system of something ridiculous and what have you. But it was a matter of do your job, play well, stay in the team, and hope the team does well, and take it from there. And luckily, we went on not initially, but I'll let you ask the questions about the early days.
Yeah. You've spoken about being made captain during that period. Yeah. What do you think they saw in you to make you captain?
I suppose it helped being local. Maybe, I wouldn't say, I was going to say I gave a bit more, but I don't think I did. I think it was more a case of I gave everything I had for every game. And I hoped I led by example. I wasn't too much of a shouter, but when I did, I think people listened. And I did my best, really. And I think the other lads appreciated that, and especially being a short person. It was tough at times, but yeah, I stood my corner. And I like to think I led by example as well. So,
putting you on the spot, who was your best player you played alongside, or the player you enjoyed playing alongside the most?
Well, as far as the first sort of times, I've mentioned already, I was playing sort of right midfield, so Gordon Nisbet was my right back, and Keith was in front of us. So it used to be, I'd pick it up from Nizzy. Nizzy had gone on a overlap. He'd whip it in, and Keith would score. Or I'd look up. Keith always liked the ball over the top because he was like lightning over 20, 30 yards. So from that point of view, from a relationship point of view between me and Keith, that was pretty good. But alongside, I can't really differentiate from the likes of Big Bill and Pete Skip and Askey. These types of players I played alongside with them for probably the longest. Billy had 2 spells. Pete was the same, had 2 spells, came back. They all played different positions. Billy, little Bill, was just a master, and we were the same size as well, so that was always cool. I was never completely the smallest man on the pitch, so it was a bit 50-50. And I met him at a do after a long time at Walton Street. I can't remember, it was just after Pete passed away. I think it was a celebration of the promotion team, and the ex-Tigers had set it up, and the first person I saw was Bill, little Bill, and I stood next to him, and he was talking to somebody over there, and I came up on his blind side, and I just stood there, and he just looked at me, and his face, it was like we both sort of so happy to see each other after such a long time. It was fantastic, and you get straight into the old sort of banter as well, even though you've been away for a time, and that's that sort of camaraderie that I mentioned before of those promotion-winning teams is still there with Stan McEwen as well. I've seen Stan quite a bit, and I know he still works at the club as well. So it's you never lose that, and the fact that we had I'd say we were pretty good over 5 or 6 years between 82 and 87, 88. Really good. Not many teams turned us over at Bulford Park, and that was always your sort of guidance of how good you were doing. And yeah, but those lads, never forget them.
After 487 appearances, it came to an end. Can you remember your last competitive game for the Tigers?
It was against Charlton, and we got beat 2-1, but it was after about 50 or 60 minutes we were playing. I was in the centre circle, and I turned, my knee didn't, and that was it. My studs got caught in the pitch, and that was the end, because I'd had a cartilage operation when I was 24, and the consultant at the time said, I'll give you 7 years. And when you're 24, you don't care. 7 years is a lifetime away. But it was more or less to the day that it happened again. But
disappointing way for it to end.
Yeah, because I was only 30, I think, at the time. So it was. You always think 35. I'll get to 35. But it was what it was. I mean, there's players that, like I said, it could have been over at the Carlisle game after 4 games. So it was. I was just I was really sort of proud that I managed to stay in the team as well. I didn't get dropped. I think Nobby dropped me once, only the once for one game. But yeah, playing under all those managers as well, because Colin was there for 2 or 3 years, Brian was there for 2 or 3 years, but we had lots of other managers in between and after that. So I think I played under about 11 to 12 managers. So to still be made as captain and to still get in the team with that many managers, I think was pretty good going. So, but the Charlton game was interesting because I think we played it at Selhurst Park because it was the days when Charlton's pitch was being sorted out and what have you, and so it was Selhurst Park was my last ground that I played at. So, but yeah, some great memories, and so proud of the career that I had with the club, with it being my local club as well. And then after that, stayed with the club in different sort of guises as well. Did the Centre of Excellence for 10 years with John Davis, coaching 15, 16-year-olds, and then did the commentary and did the ambassadorial thing that they do as well. But yeah, so I think, I did the Centre of Excellence because you always want to give something back, and that's the reason it probably lasted a bit longer than I thought it was going to do. But again, there was great coaches that I coached with for those 9 or 10 years that I was there. So all in all, it was a fantastic experience, and really pleased it sort of panned out, even though I retired early. Really lucky that I achieved what I did.
You did get one more game though, didn't you, with your testimonial, which brought double the average crowd for the season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a time when Gazza was playing as well, but the guy that I was talking with at Tottenham was Doug Livermore, who's still a coach now. He's been everywhere. Great bloke, and at that time Tottenham were one of the best clubs because Lineker and Gazza were there, but also I think Gazza was having problems with his injuries and all this type of stuff, and they had quite a few asks by clubs like me, because in those days there used to be quite a few people that got testimonials, whereas now not too many. So I think they had to go to Cardiff on the same day as they were coming to Hull, so they split the squad up as well. So, but Nick Barmby was playing for Tottenham, so that's always been mentioned in over the years. I think it was one of his first games, or maybe his first game. He scored a couple of goals. They gave us a bit of a tonking, but again, I got a deserved penalty in the last 5 minutes. I think Bill went down and said to the referee that was a penalty, and the referee went, "Yeah, it was, Bill. It's a penalty." So I took it. The guy, keeper Walker, that seems to ring a bell. He was in England. Ian Walker, that's right, yeah, goalkeeper and what have you. So last goal, last appearance, slotted one. So yeah, that was nice. Yeah, it was, yeah.
And of all the managers you played under, who had the biggest influence on you?
Well, Ken Howie, because he gave me my debut. Colin Appleton, because he got us back on, with the help of Don Robinson, got us back on the right way of thinking and got us confident and grew a young team, a really young team, into a special team. And then Brian Horton as well took us to the next promotion. So there wasn't any one, there was just quite a few that really did a fantastic job with us. And even Eddie Gray, loved Eddie, fantastic bloke. He always remembered your family, remembered your kids' names. He was a great bloke, but didn't quite work for him at that time. And some great managers and some great times. And it was hopefully I gave my best in all of the games. Loved playing at Bulford Park. It was a dream place to play, and always with my family being there and friends and what have you. I remember taking a throw-in at East Stand, and this guy shouts out from the bottom of the East Stand. He said, "Hey, short ass, get going, get your game going," and what have you. So I looked, and it was a mate I'd played football with for years, and he was absolutely weighing himself and going, oh, I guess, all this type of stuff. So it's like when you have those when you're local and you have those types of people all around the ground and they're all sort of rooting for you, it certainly helps. And it made me play to a good standard as well, I think, anyway. It made me play hard and made me play throughout the full 90 minutes as well. So hopefully I gave a good account of myself.
Just finally, if you could use one word or one sentence to sum up your City career, what would it be?
Lucky. Very lucky to be where I was at that time. Afterwards, when I was coaching at the Centre of Excellence, I used to tell some of the younger 16-year-olds that you have to be lucky. Your face has to fit. You have to be at the right time, at the right place. Sometimes it's far easier playing for a team you get into a team that's struggling, because they are struggling. If you're a young lad, you're not going to get into a team. Man City aren't going to be putting youngsters in their team, are they? So the same with Fulham. They probably won't be at the top of the Championship now. We were in the lower reaches of the 3rd Division. I was a local lad, offered them maybe something different or whatever than they already had in the team at that time. And I was just lucky enough to be at the right place at the right time. But I think I made the most of that luck, and I made the most of my opportunity. I wasn't going to let it go without a fight, so that's what I did.
It's been a pleasure to relive your Hull City career. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame induction, and thank you very much for taking us back through some golden times.